Welcome, CX Arabia audience. Today we have a special guest, Dan Gingiss. How are you, Dan?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thanks. Same here, and we are very excited to have you with us. Dan, you have been named as one of the key note speakers to top 30 gurus globally about customer service and experience, and you have been in different occasions. Your book is I have the ebook here, The Experience Maker. So it was named one of the top 20 best books of all the time for customer experience, in addition to other book authority and other entities that we have it. And you are the Chief Experience Officer in the Experience Maker. Tell us, what is the Experience Maker, and if you can introduce more to our guests. And you have an amazing podcast, the Experience Days podcast, where I'll put the link in the episode. We should go and follow it up.
Well, thank you again. The Experience Maker is a company that I founded in 2019 after spending 20 plus years in corporate America. I worked for very large publicly traded companies, McDonald's, Discover Card, it's a credit card company in the US, and Humana, which is a healthcare company. I spent most of my time in marketing and then evolved into customer experience and really found my passion with CX. So in 2019, I had the opportunity to leave corporate America and start my own business where I am a keynote speaker. I do speeches, workshops, training sessions all over the world. And then, as you've pointed out, I also create a lot of content in the form of blogs, podcasts, video series, etc., all around telling customer experience stories. Because my belief is that people really like to learn through storytelling. And it's just an easier way to capture information and then to apply it to your own.
And yes, when I was browsing and reading the book, and in addition to examples, I have a lot of rich examples, a lot of new trends, a lot of information that will show us that CX is not only some theories here and there. And I think what you have built over the past 20 years, from places like McDonald's, Discover, all these places, they have an interaction with a customer that will build the experience. And it's amazing. You have done a lot, and personally, I'm very happy to have all this content available. We can reach it, we can have it. We are even aware more and more. Now, the question, what is the experience? Yeah, we have a lot of definitions, and I think you have a special definition of the experience, right?
I do. So I look at customer experience as how customers feel about every single interaction they have with your company. And the two key parts there are the feeling part, because you know the phrase perception is reality, right?
Yes.
So if customers feel that doing business with you is difficult or confusing or annoying, then unfortunately that's their reality and we have to deal with that. Also, if they feel that doing business with you is easy and convenient and friendly, then you're doing something right. Then there's this idea of every single interaction. And I think companies, especially the bigger they get, the harder this is for them, because the number of interactions that customers can have with a company can be infinite, right? I mean, if I use your product every day, that
Yeah.
is an interaction. If I go to your website or your mobile app, if I call your customer service number, if I see a post of yours on social media, if I walk into your retail store, those are all engagements in different channels. And what happens as consumers is we take all of those and our brains kind of add them all up into our perception of the brand. And
Yes.
that can be good and bad, right? The challenge of it is even one bad experience can throw off the whole perception of the brand. But continued, consistent good experiences across channels makes me feel like I'm really happy to do business with this company. I want to keep doing business. And if we're really doing it right, we can get our customers to say, and I want to tell somebody else.
Exactly, and I think this is not easy to have a consistent, easy to have an experience across all these channels with all the employees around, and we have everyone. So the customer will go and tell, because from what you are saying always, that customer will not talk about the average experience. He will talk about an amazing experience or a really bad experience.
Yeah.
So how we can guarantee that he will talk about this one? How we can create an experience that the customer will have it on every single interaction, and the dependency in all the chain of employees. And this is the problem actually. Then, whenever we have a company, I was talking about one day about the employee experience. When I'm really worried about the internet security, I cannot deal with emails. I cannot connect my laptop, I have to put a USB, the printer is not working. Even this will impact the experience because I'll be confused a little bit handling the customers. So how we can create this, I would say, the culture and the implementation that will guarantee the perception of the customers every time.
Well, one of the best compliments that I got when I was working in corporate America, I wasn't looking for a compliment, but the chief digital officer of Discover said to me that he was watching me in business meetings and he saw that I was always trying to solve business problems by wearing the customer hat, by looking at the problem through the lens of the customer. And it took me a minute to think about this because I didn't really realize that about myself. But once you said it, I said, yeah, that is what I do. Like, of course, that's what I do. You can solve a business problem and not think about the customer, but generally you're going to end up with a bad result. So there's a great example. There's an airline here in the United States called Frontier. It's a low-cost airline. Now, they have been focused on one business initiative, which is reduce costs. And so what they just did and what they just announced was that they are no longer having a call center. You just can't call them anymore. They just closed it down. Now, that might be a good business decision from the perspective of I'm sure it saves them some money, but it's a terrible decision for customers. And ultimately, what I think will happen is they'll lose customers over it, and that cost savings is going to go away because now they might have saved a few dollars here, but they've lost customers who want to be able to call customer service. So they're going to go to a different airline. So that's an example of making a decision without looking through the lens of the customer. I believe that that's the first thing you have to do is every single business decision, you have to be able to ask, how does this impact the customer? That's the first thing. The second thing, this gets to the sharing part, is I always tell people there's no such thing as an offline experience. And what that means is that no matter where you are, it's so easy to pull out your phone and take a picture or a video and bring that experience online. You could be in the dentist's office, right? And you take a video and boom, now it's an online experience.
Exactly.
And so companies are usually afraid of this. They're usually saying, oh no, what happens if somebody takes a picture of this and shares it? And I like to try to convince them to change that mentality completely around. To say, wait a sec, how do we create an experience where we want people to take out their phones and take a picture and share it? And how do we make it that good? And so if you are in charge of designing an experience and it is average or ordinary or not something that you yourself would take your phone out and take a picture of, that's usually the hint where we can probably do something a little bit better to get people talking.
Excellent. One example, like the examples in the book, but I will give you an example from my country, my home country, Jordan. I was going to this small local sandwiches store, and he has this tip jar. But what he wrote there that I'm getting married, I'm missing some dollars just to get the mixer, the fruit mixer. So everyone was taking photos of this funny joke. And personally, I did it. I took a photo and I start posting. Yalla, guys, let's help the guy. Let's do it. So he put it like he makes sure that it will show empathy, will see it in this way, and we'll put the tip more than like tips, only this word. And another a lot of examples, even in the book you have a lot, in our life we have a lot. But this was a good example of how we can make it an online experience. It's a very good, it's when what I like. And
I'll bet he gets more tips because of it too, right? He's got people talking about them,
exactly,
but he's also got people putting money in the tip jar because
the person I put it.
Yeah, if you make somebody laugh, if you give them a little bit of an experience where they don't expect one, then they're going to be more generous. I recently had an experience in a restaurant as well, and I hope this translates over. But it was a breakfast restaurant. It was in San Diego, California. And when it comes time to give me the bill, the check comes and it's literally attached to a fork. So like they've taken a real fork and they've put the check inside the tines of the fork. And then the check on the front of it says, fork it over. And it's like it's a moment where you just sort of smile and it's time to pay the bill, right? That's not usually the part where you're smiling, but they made me smile. And so you know what I did? Over tipped the waiter because I was in a really good mood and I was so glad that they created this experience for me that he got a better tip. And so this is such a what I love about that example is I'm a believer that every time we communicate with customers, we have a chance to create an experience. The question is whether you take advantage of an opportunity or not. Now, handing somebody a check where it's time to say, okay, you need to pay me now, not the most fun part of the engagement, unless you can make them laugh when it happens. And then it is fun. And I think that's what's brilliant. Same with the tip jar. Great, very
Yeah,
similar in that nobody expects to smile or even laugh when someone's asking for a tip.
yeah, and we were all just laughing because where is the guy and how he do it? Same as this example. So it's not something very. I'm always saying that making an experience better and not always costly. It's sometimes like this example or that one is cheap. What else we need to consider? How we can cascade this top bottom from the company and the corporate, and how we can build it. How we can make sure that it is within the DNA, or although I don't like this word, DNA of the company, but it should be within the DNA of the company and just
Sure.
create it so we can have it.
Well, you actually hit on one piece, which is that customer experience doesn't have to be this gigantic project that costs tons of money and takes months or years to execute. Customer experience is really just a series of small things. Now,
Mhm.
it's an endless series because we always have the opportunity to improve. But when you look at it as a lot of little inexpensive things, then the next step is you've got to empower your employees. You've got to tell your employees, look, wherever you are in the organization, whether you talk to customers or not, the job that you do every day affects customers. So let's say that you're the person in finance who's in charge of sending out the invoices. Now, you may never talk to a customer. No customer knows who you are, and you've never met a customer, but your job directly impacts them. Just like getting a check in the restaurant, when I get an invoice from a company, that's a moment. And so if that person feels empowered, if that person realizes, I could put a nice little statement or a little joke or something to make people smile when they get this invoice. And I can do it because I'm empowered and because it doesn't cost the company anything and because I know that my job involves customer experience. Get everybody thinking that way, all of these little micro moments start to get better. They get more memorable, they get more engaging, even at times where you don't expect
Excellent. And I think this will encourage the challenge between all the employees when they are empowered enough. Whoever will be able to create a more magical or wow moments by doing these simple tips. And this is the key, how we can sustain it, because consistency and, as what you said, these small series of actions need to be consistent across different channels just to have it. And this is the point that sometimes you need to keep reminding people and highlight the successes or how we can sustain it.
it. Yeah, I think the two best ways to sustain it are, first of all, always talk to your customers. Continue to solicit feedback. And companies are afraid of feedback because they don't want to be told what they're doing wrong. They don't want to
Mhm.
hear the complaints. And yet, when we ask people for feedback, we get amazing stuff in return. We get all of the things that we're doing well, which that means, of course, we should be doing more of them. And we also get the things that our customers don't think that we're doing well. And that shouldn't be insulting. It should be informative. That should be educational, right? If customers don't like that, I don't know, they don't like our hold music when they call in, it's not that difficult to change the hold music. But how would we ever know they don't like the hold music unless we ask them? And then when they tell us, now we've got something we can go do about it. The other thing I think is too many companies do not require their executives to become customers of their own company.
Mhm.
So when I worked at McDonald's, I wanted to try every item on the menu, not because I like every item on the menu or because I would ever order it, but because I wanted to be knowledgeable about what it is that we're putting in front of our customers. When I was at Discover Card, I made sure that every time I made a purchase, I used my Discover Card because I wanted to see what was it like and what did our customers feel. If you own a retail store, if you are in the medical field and you have a medical practice, make sure that you walk in the front door of your physical location at least
Yeah.
once a week so that you see what your customers see or what your patients see. Very often when we're shop owners or when we own our own practice, we walk in through the back door because that's where our office is. Then we never see what our customers see.
Exactly.
If you think about it from the perspective of like a mirror, right? We in the business are looking this way towards the customer. Customer's perspective is exactly the opposite. They're
Exactly.
looking at us. If we don't ever look at it from their perspective, then we don't really know what they're going through. And I think this is really, really
The
cool.
most important one. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is the opposite perspective. And so we might say, oh, well, this is a great sign that we're going to hang on our door. And, because we need to tell people what hours we're open. Okay. Now, have you ever been in your car and pulled up onto the curb and tried to see the hours of a store without getting out of your car, right? And the print is always so small you can't read it from your car. And that seems like a pretty easy thing to fix, right? If you're trying to tell
Exactly.
people the hours.
Yeah, and this is the point.
Yes, exactly. So you have to be able to view things from the perspective of your customer. Really talk about the phrase is getting into your customer's shoes.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I mean, literally become a customer. Because the interesting thing about this whole customer experience space is everyone doing it, everyone involved in customer experience, we're all customers ourselves. We're all consumers. We're shopping on the internet. We're going into stores. We're going into sandwich shops. We're going to see the doctor or the dentist. We are consumers ourselves, and we know what we like and what we don't like. The weird thing is that very often we do things to our customers we don't like when other people do to us. And so
Exactly. This is the point, that you make it difficult, so they will just go and ask for someone to help them inside the company, how to take the job to be done, and all this. And this is the problem. We are making the life of customers is difficult sometimes.
yes, and I think one of the easiest examples of this is pop-up ads, right? Do you know anybody that likes pop-up ads? Do you know any customer that says, "Oh, I'm so excited, somebody put a pop-up ad in front of me"? No, everybody hates them, and yet companies still do them. And I remember one company that I was at. I won't tell you which one. We'll protect the innocent here. Um, I had this discussion with the team because they were putting a pop-up ad onto the website right after you log in. And the marketing team said, well, this is one of our best performing ads that we do. And I said, really, how's it performing?
They'll block you, huh?
Yeah. They said, well, we get a 6% conversion rate. So 6% of people click on it and do what we want them to do. And I said, all right, have you ever thought about the fact that that means that 94% of the people are annoyed because they're the ones that didn't click on it? And so, yeah, we got a 6% conversion, and sure, that made us a little bit of money, but is it worth annoying 94% of our customers? Can't we do it a different way where we don't have to annoy everybody else? So things like that, I just feel like we have to ask the right questions. And when we're too focused on how to make incremental dollars without thinking about how it impacts customers, we just don't make as good decisions.
Exactly. And one point, I remember when we had one time one CEO, he just came to the company. I used to work in a telecom company. He just went to the three operators in the market, tried to buy a line from each of the operators. Okay. And then when he came to the office, he said, I need to sit with the employees to hear the voice of employees. And he sat with the employees. He saw the feedback. Then he went to the management. He didn't start top bottom. He went as a customer, the employees. Then he went to the employees, then to the managers. He said that we have a serious problem. The agents in the shop saying this, and we have it because the line will take for us 45 minutes to be activated, while in other operators it took only 30 minutes or 25 minutes. So we can exceed this number because I love the customer experience in general as a customer. So, and then we start to improve it. It was a very successful approach actually. And everyone was noticing that, okay, this guy is going to the shops, he's going to the call center. So we have to react. He is seeing what the customers see and he's using our services. Then the practice started in the organization and we start to see things moving as a customer experience team in general because we see this. And on the same time as what you said, the 6% of conversion rate, sometimes people are just making they shed the lights on the things that they want to highlight it. One that the ugly truth is on the other side. It's not successful because of the performance KPIs, I would say, not done in a right way. So maybe we should have 360 insight, so we'll be able to have it.
Absolutely. And I also really like the idea. I mean, I talked before about talking with your customer, talking with your
Yeah,
employees is equally valuable.
and you
And
have it in the book.
yes, yes. And in fact, those frontline employees, which are usually your lower paid employees, they're more junior, but yet they may be the only human beings your customers ever talk to at your company, right? They're not calling the
Yeah.
CEO, they're calling the call center and they're talking to a frontline employee. And so their opinions are super valuable.
Yeah.
I used to sit and do call listening at call centers where I would sit next to an agent, for a day or something and just listen to all the calls. And in between the calls, I would talk to the agent and I'd say, what are you hearing? What are the types of calls that you're getting? And man, those conversations gave me way more than any report would ever give me because I got to hear the color, the detail from the person actually speaking.
And you hear this kind of flow of thoughts. It's like a river just coming for you because they have a lot of feedback, and usually the executives can solve a lot of them by a decision just because people are saying no on behalf of the other people always. So
Yes.
I, as a manager, I will kill the idea. Well, it's feasible to be done. Excellent. So we have now a lot. We have done a lot. We have take talking to the customers, walk the customer shoes. We have done actually the company of the series of actions, and we have the right decisions to take it. What else we need to cover, Dan, in this very rich, I would say, conversation about the experience and how we can make it? Is this qualify us to be experience makers?
Absolutely. I guess one thing I might add, and I think that this is important because of where I'm sitting right now and where your listeners are sitting, which
Yeah.
is that when we talk to our customers, we're going to learn that customers in different parts of the world may have different expectations. And so if you have customers in multiple places, don't assume that they're all the same. Likewise, you might have customers, you do have customers that are different races, they might be different religions, they might have different political affiliations, they might like different sports teams,
Yeah.
but they're different people. So don't look at all of your customers as a singular group because different people might use your product or service differently or might have different requirements. A great example here is that as customers get older, I look at my mother's cell phone, and I always kind of joke with her because I look at her screen and there's like 4 words on the screen because her font is so big,
Very,
right? She's
very,
got it
very
so
big. Right.
zoomed in. Well, guess what? If I'm a healthcare company, I better be designing my mobile app so that my 80-year-old mother can see it,
Excellent.
which is
Uh-huh.
not going to be the same design as designing for a 20-year-old.
Fantastic. Uh-huh.
And so understanding that not all customers are the same and that it is our responsibility to provide a great experience for everyone. And that might be a slightly different experience or an adaptable experience depending on who the people are. And as I learn more about, I travel around the world and I learn more about different cultural expectations of experience. I don't want to suggest that what the experience in the United States is the right thing for other countries because it may not. Customers may have different expectations or have had different previous experiences that color sort of
Uh-huh.
how they experience your brand. And I do think that's really important because we often get very stuck in our own place, whether that is a physical place like a country or our own business. Um,
Uh-huh.
I always tell businesses, if you want to look for inspiration, don't look at your direct competitors because you spend all day looking at your direct competitors. Go
Uh-huh.
look at company that has nothing to do with your business, and you're going to find something that gives you a great idea. Go to an amusement park and just look around at the food and the roller coasters and all this stuff. And even though that has nothing to do with your business, you're going to find lots of ideas there where all you need is that little kernel of an idea to go back to your business and say, I saw this sign at an amusement park. What if we
Uh-huh.
did this on our website? Or what if we did something similar here or here? And so I think there's so many places we can learn from other great examples.
Exactly. And one great thing, this is the example you said that looking into this with a personalization and the kind of adaptation for what you call the adaptable experience. This is the most important, and maybe customers now are changing. Yani they are helping the companies to go out from their comfort zone and to change it because we have all kind of accelerators, I would say. I have one question then about the digital experience in specific. Is it a must? Is it a mandatory from your point of view that we should go, or based on different? I see the shopping is now going for the normal. It's not anymore. Yani. Digital is there. It's very high for clothes and all these, but people are still want to go to do shopping because they have this quality time. So how you see the digital experience in general?
I think for most companies, digital experience is a critical component. But to your point, it's not the only component. And if you are what we would call a mom and pop shop, right? A store that's just a local store with one location, it doesn't really matter whether you have a website or a mobile app because that's not why
Exactly.
people are coming to do business with you, right?
Yeah.
But as you get bigger, or if you're obviously if you're an e-commerce company only, and that's the only way people can shop from you, then the digital experience is that much more important. When I was at Discover, I happened to be there at the time. There was this chart that we always had that showed the number of people that call in and the number of people that visit the website. And I
Okay.
was there when that chart crossed, where finally, for the first time, there were more people coming through the website than there were calling in. I think in today's world, you can look at that similarly. If you have a physical location, how many people are coming into your physical location versus coming in digitally? And then you build around that. It comes back to listening to your customers. If your customers want you to be digital, then you need to be digital. If they don't really care, then spend your money and resources somewhere else.
Exactly. And one point I need just to highlight, when I have the book, I have this kind of restriction to your blog. You have this daily or but every 2 days challenge just to tell the tip and hints. It was very, I would say I'm doing experience for the past 15 years and more. But what you sent is like refreshing and just pressing on the points. So these are how we can do it. Experience is simple, so we need to follow the rules and follow the basics maybe. So we can take it and we will be able to do it. And now, if we conclude, Dan, what is the one thing that you want to tell us and advise us, our audience, just to go and do exactly after with this episode so they can make a better experiences?
Well, the number one thing is to go be a customer of your own company. And I understand that's not always possible. And if it isn't possible, then the second best thing you can do is to find a customer and shadow them for a little bit and look at your company through their eyes instead of through yours. When you are more observant, when you pay more attention to what's around you, it's amazing what you see. Real quick story, I was telling a friend of mine, I went out to lunch with somebody, and he asked me, well, what is all this customer experience stuff? Like, I don't really understand what it is you do. And I said to him, did you notice when we sat down at this booth in the restaurant, did you notice that the wall next to us was really dirty? And I saw his brain like click for 1 second and then his head swooshed over to go look at the wall. He didn't notice that, but it was the first thing I noticed because I am always looking around,
Look,
always observing. Is it too bright in here? Is it too dark in here? Is it too cold? Is it too warm? What do the signs say? Is the menu dirty? All of this stuff. I'm always looking at it. And when you do that with your own business and you put a hypercritical eye, what's going to happen is you're going to find things, but you're going to find that they're very easy to fix. And I will get back to, I don't think customer experience is that difficult. I don't think it has to be overwhelming or super expensive or a years long project.
okay.
It just has to be a mentality of always looking to improve and always looking to surprise the customer and to provide a positive experience that someone wants to go and say, you'll never believe what happened when I walked into this store or when I walked into this restaurant. And if you watch any posts on social media, people love to brag about good things that happen to them,
Yeah,
right? That's what we
yeah.
love talking about. And
Yeah,
so
they post
we
a
as
lot.
companies can provide that and then sit back and watch as our customers talk about it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for being with us. I'm very happy to this episode and to start and to publish it as well. So it will reach everywhere. And I personally recommend the experience of this podcast to everyone listening to us. It has a lot of fresh, new information every day, in addition to the basics all in the book, in the Experience Maker book, where we can find it in Kindle if it's not easy to get it as a hard copy here in the region. It's there in Kindle, so we can get it everywhere. Thank you, Dan, for being with us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. See you. Bye.